out the rebel council to let them know to gather their forces. Then he killed the far-speaker toad. Why? Well, because to make sure his sword was sharp. Oh no, that's awful. So no one else could use it. Yes, that's it. Then he set off for the ruins and the secret rebel base. The ruins were crawling with ravens. Probably looking for the secret base, Reynardo thought. But then he realized they're probably looking for me. They must be very scared of me. Well, here I am! You are the honest warrior ever, whispered the Iblastone. And he had to agree with it, for once. Who was as good as Reynardo? Every day he was getting better and better. It was definitely easier to fight inanimate objects. Zenobia, Hypatia, the kid's mother. Reynardo had never thought he'd date a librarian. He'd always figured himself for the barmaid type. But then, he'd never figured the library of Ubar would have comic books. Or he missed her. Reynardo was so happy. Stone was the best friend he'd ever had. Really, who would bury such a treasure in the desert? Soon, he'd go rally the rebellion and usher a new age for the islands of Erda. Reynardo wondered idly if people who had built these poles had really, really long tentacles. The road less traveled, thought Reynardo. How intriguing. that they never locked these things. There was a sign. Take the goat across first. Urged the stone. Let it make you emperor. Come to think of it, Reynardo thought as he put down another raven, why shouldn't I be emperor? How did anybody get to be emperor anyway? By making war. Not counting the transcendent emperor, obviously, who had banished the lost gods and started time. Yes. He should be emperor. He would make a great emperor. Right, Stone? Oh, right, boss. You couldn't find high-quality ore like this just anywhere. Just anywhere. These things could really use a hand. long stairs. So he was close to the rebel base. Nothing was on fire. So far, so good. The new pathway made Reynardo curious. Reynardo strode into the council.
Let's do this thing. Let's make me emperor.
They looked confused and nervous. Ah, had he mentioned the emperor thing? He meant to bring that up later.
I mean, let's go win this rebellion.
He waved his sword around encouragingly. They ran. Cowards. He'd stop them. He cut down a few to inspire the others. But soon, there was no one to cut down. Well then, he'd have to attack the fleet alone.
More for me,
he said, unless it was the stone that said it. Traitors. Traitors, all of them. They'd run rather than following him, rather than cheering him. What should he do to the cowards? Anything he wanted to. After all, he was a true hero, the best warrior there ever was. No one could stop him now. But first, finish him. The Emperor, that is. Where was the rebel fleet? They weren't even trying an assault. They were going to miss a day in history. The downfall of this dynasty, and a new one to take its place. He didn't have to kill all the ravens. He could enslave them, and enslave the toads too. All the animals would worship him as a god, for he had once been a god. They would willingly give him their blood and their souls. And the world would change, would become familiar again. Reynardo had a feeling that was the back door to something. But what? He'd once met a pirate captain who used hooks to get around his ship. Oh, What was his name again? Reynardo was glowing with dark power. Already the sun had dimmed. He could do anything, he realized. He could wrap the island safely in smoke again. He was beyond a hero. He was going to become a god again. How odd, he thought, that the Iblis Stone had nothing to say about any of this. Well, no matter. Once he killed this petty Toad Emperor, he would bring back the Black Sun.
Could be the new aerobics training. Am I right?
Smell any better dead, Reynardo thought. Soon he'd confront the Emperor. Funny that this whole war had come about because the Emperor feared death. And now it was coming for him. There was some sort of lesson there, wasn't there? He found the Emperor and the Council huddling by his ship, plotting. They saw him and cowered before him.
Back to hell, fiend.
Croaked the Emperor desperately.
In the name of the Transcendent Emperor!
Croaked the speaker. They held some arcane items he didn't recognize. He simply flexed his will and sucked their souls out of their bodies. And Iblis exulted. It is finished. And the void that had been a mere stone on a sword expanded. It stretched and ripped like a vast womb. And a gaze, black and pitiless as the sun, passed through the void into the land. And so time ended. But he'd learned another true thing. The Iblis Stone was evil. It would try to corrupt anyone who used it.